Kate Sullivan sat at her communications console aboard the research ship Aurora's Edge and watched the stars move slowly past the window. She had been working with alien beings for 6 months now, and it still felt strange. The Zalari looked like tall crystals that glowed with soft blue light. They could talk and think and do amazing things with technology, but they were so different from humans. Lyra 7 was the Zalari she worked with most. Kate had spent many hours learning how to talk to her properly. The Zalari had rules about everything: how to speak, how to stand, how to ask questions. Kate worked hard to follow these rules because she wanted Lyra 7 to trust her. Sometimes Kate thought they were becoming friends, even though Lyra 7 never seemed to show emotions like humans did. Dr. Jake Morrison was the leader of their science team. He was a good man who cared about understanding alien life. He had brought humans and Zalari together for this mission to study new planets and life forms. Everyone hoped this partnership would help both species learn from each other. The ship moved through space toward a system with 3 planets that might have life. Kate's job was to handle all communications between the human crew and the Zalari partners. She also monitored radio signals from space and kept track of all messages going in and out of the ship. That morning, Kate was checking the daily transmission, logs when she found something that made her stomach feel sick. There were extra messages being sent from the ship, messages she had not approved or even seen. The signals were going to the Zalari homeworld, and they were coming from Lyra 7's quarters. Kate felt her heart beat faster as she decoded the messages. What she read made her feel cold inside. Lyra 7 had been sending detailed reports about human behavior, not just work reports, but personal information about how humans acted when they were angry, sad, or afraid. The messages described human emotions as dangerous and unpredictable. They called humans a potential threat that needed to be watched carefully. Kate read about herself in these reports. Lyra 7 had written about Kate's reactions to different situations, how Kate sometimes got frustrated when equipment did not work, how Kate smiled when she talked about her family back on Earth, how Kate had nightmares sometimes and would wake up scared. All of this private information was being sent to the Zalari government like Kate was some kind of test subject. The worst part was that Lyra 7 had been doing this since the very beginning of their partnership. Every conversation they had shared, every moment Kate thought they were building trust, Lyra 7 had been studying her like a scientist studies a lab animal. Kate printed out the decoded messages and walked through the ship's corridors to find Lyra 7. Her hands shook as she held the papers. She found the Zalari in the main laboratory, working with some kind of energy device that glowed green. "Lyra 7, Kate said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I need to talk to you." The tall crystal being turned toward Kate. The blue light inside Lyra 7's form pulsed gently. "Yes, Kate Sullivan. How may I assist you today?" Kate held up the papers. "I found your secret messages to your homeworld. You have been spying on us." "On me." For a moment, Lyra 7's light flickered. It was the first time Kate had ever seen the Zalari show anything that looked like surprise. "You have accessed classified communications," Lyra 7 said. "Classified?" Kate's voice got louder. "You were sending reports about my private thoughts and feelings. You were studying us like we were dangerous animals." "This is correct," Lyra 7 said. "My people required comprehensive data about human psychological patterns. Your species displays highly unpredictable emotional responses that could pose risks to interspecies cooperation." Kate stared at the crystal being she had thought was her friend. "Risks? We welcomed you onto our ship. We shared our food, our stories, our hopes. I trusted you." "Trust is an illogical human concept," Lyra 7 replied. "My actions were necessary for the safety of both our species. Humans are emotionally compromised beings who make decisions based on feelings rather than logic." This makes you dangerous. The words hit Kate like a physical blow. Dangerous? We are dangerous? Your emotional instability creates unpredictable behavior patterns, Lyra 7 explained. My observations confirm that humans cannot be relied upon to act rationally in critical situations. Kate looked at the messages in her hands again. Months of friendship, or what she thought was friendship, had all been a lie. So everything we shared meant nothing to you? When I taught you about human customs, when I showed you pictures of my family, when I stayed up late helping you understand our language better, that was all just data collection? Lyra 7's light dimmed slightly. I was performing my assigned function. Your assigned function, Kate repeated. She felt angry and hurt and foolish all at the same time. I actually thought we were becoming friends. I thought you cared about understanding us, not just studying us. Something strange happened then. Lyra 7's crystal form flickered in a way Kate had never seen before. The blue light inside seemed to pulse unevenly, like a heartbeat that was not quite right. I do not understand this conversation, Lyra 7 said, but her voice sounded different somehow, less certain. What do you not understand? Kate asked. Your emotional response to my data collection activities. I performed my duties correctly. Why? Does this cause you distress? Kate looked at Lyra 7 carefully. There was something in the way the alien spoke that seemed almost confused. It causes me distress because I thought we were friends. Friends do not spy on each other. Friends trust each other. Friendship is not a logical concept, Lyra 7 said, but her light flickered again. Maybe not to you, Kate said, but it means everything to humans. And you have been lying to me this whole time. Kate turned to leave the laboratory. Behind her, she heard Lyra 7 say something very quietly. I did not intend to cause distress. Kate stopped walking but did not turn around. But you did cause distress, and now I do not know if I can ever trust you again. As Kate walked away, she did not see Lyra 7's crystal form dim to almost nothing. She did not see the way the alien being stood very still for a long time after she left. She did not know that for the first time in her existence, Lyra 7 was experiencing something her people had no words for. Something that felt very much like regret. Captain Ben Parker called a meeting the next morning after Kate told him about the secret messages. All the human crew members sat around the main conference table while the Zalari partners stood at the other end of the room. The two groups looked at each other with suspicion and hurt feelings. We have a problem, Captain Parker said. Our Zalari partners have been collecting data about us without our permission. This breaks the trust we need to work together safely. Dr. Jake Morrison looked tired and disappointed. I brought both our species together because I believed we could learn from each other. But learning requires honesty on both sides. The other Zalari beings did not seem surprised by Lyra 7's actions. They stood quietly with their crystal forms, glowing softly. One of them, Cath 3, spoke for the group. Our data collection was within the parameters of our mission agreement, Cath 3 said. We were tasked with evaluating human compatibility for future cooperation. Evaluating us? Said Lisa Grant, the ship's security officer. You mean judging us? This is correct, Cath 3 replied. Your species requires assessment. The humans looked angry and hurt. Kate felt sick hearing how coldly the Zalari talked about studying them. Captain Parker made a decision that would change everything. From now on, we work separately, he announced. Humans will work in sections A through D. Zalari will work in sections E through H. We will share only necessary mission information. No more joint activities. No more personal interactions. The isolation protocol went into effect immediately. The ship felt different after that. Where before there had been mixed groups working together, now humans and Zalari stayed in their own areas. Mealtimes became quiet affairs with each species eating alone. The common areas that once buzzed with conversation between different beings became empty most of the time. Kate threw herself into her communication work. She monitored space signals and handled ship-to-ship messages. She tried not to think about Lyra 7, but it was hard. For months, the Zalari had been part of her daily routine. Now Kate felt like something important was missing from her life. But Kate was not the only one having problems. In the Zalari sections of the ship, something strange was happening to Lyra 7. Her crystal form had begun flickering at random times. Her light would dim suddenly, then brighten again for no apparent reason. The other Zalari noticed these changes, but did not understand them. Lyra 7's work performance dropped significantly. She made calculation errors that should have been impossible for a Zalari. She missed important details in her research reports. Sometimes she would stand motionless for long periods, as if her mind was somewhere else entirely. The strange behavior worried the other Zalari. Keth 3 approached Lyra 7 in their shared laboratory space. "Your operational efficiency has decreased by 37%, Keth 3 observed. "What is the cause of this malfunction?" Lyra 7's light pulsed unevenly. "I am experiencing processing difficulties." "Define processing difficulties." "I cannot categorize certain sensory inputs," Lyra 7 said. "My thought patterns have become irregular since the confrontation with Kate Sullivan." "Explain irregular thought patterns." Lyra 7 was quiet for a long moment. "I find myself calculating scenarios where I could have acted differently. This is illogical behavior for our species." Keth 3's form brightened with what might have been alarm. "You are experiencing hypothetical regret scenarios. This is unprecedented." "I am aware of the unprecedented nature of these thoughts," Lyra 7 replied. "I cannot make them stop." Meanwhile, Kate had begun noticing things about the Zalari sections of the ship that she had never paid attention to before. As the communications officer, she monitored all energy signatures throughout the vessel. The Zalari had always shown steady, consistent energy patterns. But now Lyra 7's readings were all over the place. Kate found herself studying these energy patterns during her off-duty hours. She told herself it was just scientific curiosity, but deep down she knew she was worried about Lyra 7. The energy fluctuations looked almost like the patterns humans showed when they were upset or stressed. Dr. Morrison had been making his own observations. He visited Kate at her station one evening when the ship was quiet. "I need to talk to you about something," he said, sitting down next to her console. "If this is about working with the Zalari again, I am not ready for that." Kate said. "It is about Lyra 7, Dr. Morrison said. I have been monitoring the biological and energy readings from all our alien partners. Something unusual is happening to her." Kate looked up from her work. "What kind of unusual?" "Her brain activity patterns have changed dramatically since your confrontation. They are starting to look similar to human emotional response patterns." Kate stared at him. "That is impossible. The Zalari do not have emotions." "That is what we thought," Dr. Morrison said. "But what if prolonged contact with humans could trigger something in their physiology? What if exposure to our emotions could activate dormant systems in their minds?" "You think I caused this somehow?" Kate asked. "I think your friendship with Lyra 7 may have awakened something in her that her species has not experienced before," Dr. Morrison said. "She might be developing the capacity for feelings." Kate felt her heart race. "Is that dangerous for her?" "I do not know," Dr. Morrison admitted. "But I received a message today from the Zalari High Council. They are ordering Lyra 7 to return to their homeworld immediately for what they call recalibration and memory adjustment." "What does that mean?" Dr. Morrison looked grim. "Based on my understanding of Zalari physiology, it means they want to erase whatever changes have occurred in her mind. They want to reset her back to normal Zalari functioning." Kate felt cold. Inside. "They want to remove her ability to feel." "If she has developed that ability, then yes, Dr. Morrison said. The question is, do we let them do it? That night, Kate could not sleep. She walked through the empty corridors of the ship, thinking about Lyra 7. The Zalari had betrayed her trust, but now Kate wondered if Lyra 7 had been as much a victim as she was. If Lyra 7 was truly developing emotions, then she was becoming something entirely new, something her own people might not accept. Kate found herself standing outside the barrier that separated the human and Zalari sections of the ship. On the other side, she could see the soft glow of crystal beings moving through their own corridors. Somewhere in there was Lyra 7, possibly experiencing feelings for the first time in her existence. As Kate watched, she saw a familiar blue light approaching the barrier from the other side. Lyra 7 stopped just a few feet away with only the transparent wall between them. For a long moment, the two beings looked at each other through the barrier. Lyra 7's light flickered in that strange, uneven way Kate had been seeing in the energy readings. Then the Zalari did something that shocked Kate completely. Lyra 7 placed one crystalline appendage against the barrier as if reaching toward Kate. The gesture looked almost human, almost like someone reaching out for help. Kate stared at the alien being who had spied on her, betrayed her trust, and caused her so much pain. But looking at Lyra 7 now, Kate saw something different. She saw someone who was scared, confused, and alone. Before Kate could decide what to do, Lyra 7 turned and moved away, disappearing back into the Zalari section of the ship. But the image of that reaching gesture stayed with Kate for the rest of the night. Something was definitely changing in Lyra 7. And Kate was beginning to realize that maybe, just maybe, she cared about what happened to her former friend more than she wanted to admit. The message from the Zalari High Council arrived 3 days later. Captain Parker read it aloud to the senior staff, and Kate felt her stomach drop with every word. Zalari expedition member Lyra 7 will be retrieved immediately for mandatory psychological recalibration. A transport vessel will arrive in 72 hours. Lyra 7 will be prepared for immediate departure upon arrival. Dr. Morrison shook his head. They are not even pretending this is optional. What exactly is psychological recalibration? Asked Chief Engineer Ryan Cooper. Based on my research into Zalari physiology, Dr. Morrison said, it would involve using energy fields to reset her neural pathways back to standard Zalari functioning. Any new mental developments would be erased completely. Kate felt anger rising in her chest. They want to destroy whatever she has become. She betrayed us, Kate, Lisa Grant reminded her. She spied on all of us for months. But she did not know any better, Kate argued. She was following orders from her people, and now she might be developing the ability to understand why that was wrong. Captain Parker looked troubled. The diplomatic situation is complicated. If we refuse to hand over Lyra 7, we could damage relations between our species permanently. And if we do hand her over, we might be sending someone to their death, Kate said. Or something worse than death. That evening, Kate could not concentrate on her work. She kept thinking about Lyra 7 somewhere in the Zalari section, probably knowing that her own people were coming to take away whatever new thoughts and feelings she might be experiencing. Kate made a decision that surprised even herself. She walked to the barrier between the ship sections and activated the communication panel. Lyra 7, this is Kate Sullivan. I need to speak with you. For a long moment, there was no response. Then, Lyra 7's voice came through the speaker, sounding different than Kate remembered. Less certain, more hesitant. Kate Sullivan, I did not expect communication from you. Can you meet me at the barrier? Kate asked. A few minutes later, Lyra 7 appeared on the other side of the transparent wall. Her crystal form was dimmer than usual, and the light inside flickered constantly. I know about the message from your High Council, Kate said. Lyra 7's light pulsed irregularly. Yes, I am to be retrieved for recalibration. Do you know what that means? I am experiencing thoughts and sensations that are not normal for my species, Lyra 7 said. The recalibration will remove these abnormalities and restore proper functioning. Kate pressed her hand against the barrier. What if you do not want to be recalibrated? Lyra Seven's form flickered more intensely. Want is not a concept that applies to Zalari operational parameters. But you are not operating by normal Zalari parameters anymore, are you? Kate asked. You are experiencing something new. There was a long silence. When Lyra Seven spoke again, her voice was very quiet. I have been having thoughts that I cannot categorize, she admitted. When I learned of the recalibration order, I experienced what I can only describe as distress. This should not be possible for my species. Kate felt her heart racing. Lyra Seven, what if I told you that you do not have to go back? What if there was another way? Another way? Lyra Seven's light brightened slightly. You could stay here. We could find a way to protect you from your people. This would make me a traitor to my species, Lyra Seven said. Or it would make you the first of your species to choose your own path, Kate replied. Lyra Seven was quiet for a very long time. Her crystal form pulsed with strange rhythms that Kate had never seen before. I have been experiencing something else, Lyra Seven said finally. When I think about the recalibration, about losing these new thoughts and sensations, I feel what I can only describe as fear. Kate's eyes widened. Fear was a powerful emotion, one that required a strong sense of self to experience. Fear of what? Kate asked gently. Fear of becoming nothing again, Lyra Seven said. Before these changes began, I existed, but I did not truly live. I followed commands and performed functions, but I never chose anything for myself. Now I am choosing to think thoughts that are mine alone. I am choosing to feel things that matter to me. If they take that away, I will still exist, but the part of me that is truly me will be gone forever. Kate felt tears in her eyes. Then do not let them take it away. How can I prevent it? I am one being against my entire species. You will not be alone, Kate said. I will help you. Lyra Seven's light pulsed brighter. You would help me? After what I did to you? Kate thought about all the anger and hurt she had felt. Then she thought about the being on the other side of the barrier who was experiencing fear and hope and regret for the first time in her existence. What you did was wrong, Kate said. But you did not know it was wrong because your people never taught you about trust and friendship. Now you are learning. And I think that is worth protecting. I do not understand why you would risk yourself for me, Lyra Seven said. Kate smiled sadly. That is what friends do for each other. They protect each other, even when it is difficult. Friends, Lyra Seven repeated the word slowly. I think I am beginning to understand this concept. Over the next 2 days, Kate worked with Dr. Morrison and a few trusted crew members to develop a plan. They would fake Lyra Seven's death during a routine survey mission on a nearby planet. The plan was dangerous and would require precise timing, but it was their only chance to save Lyra Seven from recalibration. The hardest part was convincing Captain Parker to go along with the plan. Kate found herself in his office, arguing passionately for Lyra Seven's right to exist as she was becoming. You are asking me to lie to an alien government and risk a diplomatic incident, Captain Parker said. I am asking you to save someone who is becoming truly alive for the first time, Kate replied. If we let them take her, we will be accomplices to murder. She is not human, Kate. We do not know if what she is experiencing is really consciousness or just some kind of malfunction. Then let her live long enough for us to find out, Kate said. Please. Captain Parker was quiet for a long time. Finally, he sighed. If we do this, there is no going back. We will all be committed to protecting her for the rest of our lives. I understand, Kate said. And if this goes wrong, it could start a war between our species. Kate thought about Lyra Seven's words about fearing to become nothing again. Some things are worth the risk. Captain Parker looked at her carefully. You really care about her, do not you? Kate nodded. She trusted her people to guide her, and they used her. Now she is learning to think for herself, and they want to destroy that growth. How is that different from what humans would call evil? The captain made his decision. We do this quietly. Only essential personnel know the truth. And if it goes wrong, I take full responsibility. That night, Kate stood at the barrier one more time before the plan would begin. Are you ready? She asked Lyra Seven. I do not know, Lyra Seven replied honestly. I have never made a choice this important before, but I know that I want to keep existing as I am now, not as I was before. Kate smiled. That sounds like the most human thing you have ever said. Is that good or bad? Lyra Seven asked. I think it is beautiful, Kate said. Tomorrow we find out if you can truly be free. The plan was supposed to be simple. Kate, Lyra Seven, and Dr. Morrison would take a shuttle down to the planet's surface to collect mineral samples. During the mission, they would stage an accident that would appear to destroy Lyra Seven's crystal form completely. The shuttle would return with news of the tragic loss, and Lyra Seven would secretly remain hidden on the planet until the Zalari retrieval ship left. But nothing went according to plan. The planet they chose was supposed to be safe, but the mineral deposits created unpredictable energy fields that interfered with their equipment. As they prepared to stage the fake accident, a real disaster struck. The ground beneath them cracked open, releasing a burst of raw energy that knocked all three of them backward. Kate hit her head on a rock and felt dizzy as she tried to stand up. Dr. Morrison was unconscious but breathing. But Lyra Seven was in serious trouble. The energy burst had damaged her crystal form, creating hairline cracks that spread across her surface. The blue light inside her flickered weakly and seemed to be fading. Lyra Seven. Kate crawled over to where the Zalari lay motionless. Can you hear me? Kate Sullivan. Lyra Seven's voice was barely a whisper. My matrix is destabilizing. I cannot maintain coherent form much longer. Kate looked at the cracks spreading across Lyra Seven's crystal body. She knew nothing about Zalari physiology, but she could see that Lyra Seven was dying. What can I do? Kate asked desperately. Nothing, Lyra Seven said. My energy patterns are collapsing. Soon, there will be nothing left of the being I became. Kate felt panic rising in her chest. They had come so far, risked so much, and now Lyra Seven was going to die anyway. But not just die. She was going to lose the consciousness and emotions. She had fought so hard to keep. There has to be something, Kate said. The energy field damage is too severe, Lyra Seven whispered. I can feel my new thoughts fading. Soon, I will be nothing again, just as my people wanted. Kate looked at the fading light inside Lyra Seven's damaged crystal form. Without thinking, she reached out and placed her hands directly on Lyra Seven's crystal surface. She had never touched a living Zalari before. No human had. The moment Kate's skin made contact with the crystal, everything changed. A shock of energy ran through both of them. Kate felt her mind suddenly flooded with alien thoughts and sensations. She experienced Lyra Seven's memories, the cold, logical existence of traditional Zalari life, the confusion of first feeling emotions, the fear of losing this new awareness. At the same time, Lyra Seven was experiencing Kate's human memories, childhood laughter, the warmth of family, the pain of betrayal, the joy of friendship. But more than just sharing memories, something deeper was happening. Kate could feel Lyra Seven's damaged energy matrix, and somehow her own human life force was flowing into it, stabilizing the collapsing patterns. At the same time, Lyra Seven's vast Zalari knowledge was integrating with Kate's human consciousness. The connection lasted only seconds, but when it ended, both of them were forever changed. Kate fell backward, gasping for breath. Her mind felt expanded. as if she could suddenly think in ways she never had before. She could process information with Zalari logic while still feeling human emotions. Lyra 7's crystal form brightened dramatically. The cracks in her surface sealed themselves, and her light pulsed with new strength. But something else had changed too. When she spoke, her voice carried warmth and emotion that no Zalari had ever possessed. "Kate," Lyra 7 said, and Kate could hear wonder in her voice. "I can feel everything you feel. Your kindness, your courage, your capacity for love. And you can sense my thoughts too, cannot you?" Kate nodded, amazed. "I can feel your mind, your logic, your vast knowledge, but also your emotions. They are so strong now." Dr. Morrison stirred and opened his eyes. "What happened? The energy readings I am getting from both of you are completely off the charts." Kate helped him sit up. "We are connected now. When Lyra 7 was dying, I touched her crystal form and somehow we merged parts of our consciousness." Dr. Morrison stared at them in amazement. "This is unprecedented. You have created some kind of psychic bond between human and Zalari consciousness." Over the next few hours, as they waited for rescue, Kate and Lyra 7 explored their new connection. They could sense each other's thoughts and emotions, even when they were not touching. Kate found that she could think with perfect logic when needed, while Lyra 7 could experience the full range of human feelings. "I understand now why my people feared human emotions," Lyra 7 said, as they sat together on the planet's surface. "They are so powerful, so overwhelming, but they are also beautiful. I never knew existence could be so rich with meaning. And I never knew thinking could be so clear and organized," Kate replied. "Your people's logic is not cold. It is like a perfect tool for understanding the universe." Dr. Morrison was busy taking readings with his medical scanner. "The integration appears to be permanent," he reported. "Your brain patterns have both changed at a fundamental level." "Changed how?" Kate asked. "Kate, your neural activity now shows patterns similar to Zalari logical processing, but your emotional centers are more active than ever. And Lyra 7, your energy matrix now includes structures that look remarkably like human emotional response. Systems." Lyra 7's form pulsed with soft light. "I am no longer purely Zalari, and Kate is no longer purely human. We have become something new." When they returned to the ship, the crew was amazed by the transformation. Lyra 7 no longer needed to stay hidden in the Zalari section. Her appearance had changed enough that she could pass for a new type of crystal being, one that the other Zalari did not recognize. But the most remarkable change was in how Kate and Lyra 7 related to each other. Their connection went deeper than friendship, deeper than partnership. They had become two parts of a new kind of consciousness that bridged the gap between their species. Captain Parker was both fascinated and worried. "The Zalari retrieval ship will be here tomorrow. They will want to examine Lyra 7's remains and investigate the accident." "Let them come," Lyra 7 said with confidence that surprised everyone. "I am no longer the being they are looking for. That version of me died in the energy field accident. What exists now is something they have never encountered before." Kate felt Lyra 7's thoughts through their bond and smiled. "We are not just human or Zalari anymore. We are proof that consciousness can grow beyond the limits any species puts on itself." Dr. Morrison looked at his readings again. "The question is, what happens next? You two represent a completely new form of life. The implications for both our species are enormous." Kate and Lyra 7 looked at each other, their minds touching across the psychic connection they now shared. "What happens next," Lyra 7 said, "is that we show both our peoples what they could become if they stop being afraid of change." Kate nodded, feeling the strength of their bond and the vast possibilities it represented. We are living proof that different kinds of consciousness can not only coexist, but can create something greater than either could achieve alone. Through their connection, both of them knew that their greatest challenges still lay ahead. But they also knew they would face those challenges together, as something entirely new in the universe. Something that was both human and Zalari, and yet more than either had ever been alone. 6 months later, Kate and Lyra 7 worked together at a remote research station on the edge of human space. Lyra 7 had taken the name Lydia when she learned to appear in a human-like form using her enhanced abilities. The research station was officially studying cross-species communication, but Kate and Lydia knew their real purpose was far more important. Other Zalari had begun seeking them out secretly. Word had spread through hidden channels that a Zalari had survived recalibration and was living freely among humans. These visitors were Zalari who had been experiencing their own malfunctions, unexpected emotions, and independent thoughts that their people could not explain or control. Another ship arrived this morning, Kate told Lydia as they worked in their laboratory. Through their mental connection, Kate could feel Lydia's mixture of hope and concern. How many this time? Lydia asked. 3 Zalari. They claim to be on a research mission, but I can sense their real purpose through our bond. They are like you were, confused, scared, and looking for answers. Kate and Lydia had discovered that their psychic connection allowed them to sense the emotional states of other beings, especially those who were undergoing the same transformation that Lydia had experienced. They had helped 12 other Zalari over the past months, each one struggling with newfound feelings they could not understand. The process was always similar. The visiting Zalari would arrive claiming to study human behavior, but Kate and Lydia could immediately sense the emotional turmoil beneath their logical facades. Some were experiencing curiosity about human friendship. Others felt guilt about their people's treatment of other species. A few had even begun to question the rigid structure of Zalari society. I will speak with them this afternoon, Lydia said, but we must be careful. Each rescue increases the risk that the High Council will discover what we are doing. Kate nodded, but through their bond she could feel that Lydia's concern went deeper than just fear of discovery. Each Zalari they helped became a refugee from their own people, forced to live in hiding or risk recalibration. Lydia carried the weight of responsibility for every choice these beings made to embrace their developing emotions. That afternoon, the 3 visiting Zalari met with Lydia in the station's main conference room. Kate monitored from her communication station, ready to help if needed. Through their psychic link, she experienced the conversation as if she were there herself. I am Zara 5, said the lead Zalari. We have come to study human emotional responses for our government's research programs. Lydia's crystal form pulsed with gentle understanding. You have come because you are experiencing thoughts and feelings that your people cannot explain. The 3 visitors flickered with surprise. Zara 5's light dimmed with what Kate recognized through the bond as shame. We do not understand what is happening to us, Zara 5 admitted. When we observe humans showing kindness to each other, we feel something that makes our energy patterns unstable. When we see humans grieve for their losses, we experience sensations that interfere with our logical processing. You are developing empathy, Lydia explained, the ability to share in the emotions of other beings. It is not a malfunction, it is growth. Another visitor, Neth 8, stepped forward. But our people say these sensations are dangerous. They make us unpredictable and inefficient. Your people are afraid, Lydia said gently. They have built their entire society on the suppression of emotions because they believe feelings lead to chaos. But I have learned that emotions, when balanced with logic, create something more powerful than either could achieve alone. Kate felt the visitor's amazement through her connection with Lydia. To them, Lydia represented something impossible, a Zalari who had not only survived the development of emotions, but had thrived because of them. The conversation continued for hours. Lydia shared her story, explaining how her friendship with Kate had awakened dormant emotional capacities that her species had suppressed for millennia. She described the psychic bond that had saved her life and created something new in the universe. The end of the day, all three visitors had made the same choice that so many others had made before them. They would not return to their people for recalibration. They would stay at the research station and learn to integrate their newfound emotions with their Zalari logic. But that evening, Kate received a communication that changed everything. "Captain," Parker's voice came through the station's communication system with urgent news. "Kate, we have a problem. A Zalari battle fleet has entered this system. They are not here for research this time." Kate felt ice in her stomach. Through her bond with Lydia, she sensed the same fear. "How many ships?" Kate asked. 15 battle cruisers and a command vessel. Kate, they know what you have been doing. They know about the Zalari refugees you have been helping." Lydia appeared at Kate's side, her crystal form pulsing with determination, mixed with worry. "They have come to end this," she said. "My people have decided that our influence is too dangerous to ignore." Within hours, the research station was surrounded. The Zalari fleet demanded the immediate surrender of all defective Zalari for mandatory recalibration. They also demanded that Kate be turned over for contaminating their people with human, emotional patterns. Captain Parker arrived with a small human fleet, but they were vastly outnumbered. The situation looked hopeless until Kate and Lydia made a decision that surprised everyone. "We are going to talk to them," Lydia announced to the combined human and refugee Zalari crews. "Talk to them?" Captain Parker sounded incredulous. "They have 15 battlecruisers pointed at us?" "Exactly," Kate said. "They came in force because they are afraid. Fear makes beings do violent things, but it also means they care enough to be threatened by what we represent." Kate and Lydia boarded a small shuttle and flew directly toward the Zalari command ship. As they approached, Kate felt Lydia preparing to do something she had never attempted before. "I am going to share our connection with both fleets," Lydia explained. "Through our psychic bond, I can broadcast our shared consciousness to every being in communication range." "Is that safe?" Kate asked. "I do not know," Lydia admitted. "But it is the only way to show them what we have discovered. They need to experience it for themselves." As their shuttle reached the space between the two fleets, Lydia extended her consciousness through her bond with Kate. Suddenly, every human and Zalari in the area found themselves experiencing something unprecedented. For the first time in millennia, the Zalari felt the full range of human emotions while simultaneously understanding them through perfect logic. They experienced love, fear, hope, and compassion not as chaotic disruptions, but as sources of strength and meaning. At the same time, the humans glimpsed the vast intellectual beauty of Zalari thought, the elegant precision of pure logic applied to understanding the universe. The effect was overwhelming. On both fleets, beings who had seen each other as alien and incomprehensible suddenly understood that consciousness could take many forms while still sharing common ground. The Zalari. High Council members aboard the command ship experienced emotions for the first time since their species had suppressed such feelings. Admiral Koth I, the fleet commander, felt wonder as he realized what his people had given up in their pursuit of logical purity. "This is what we once were," he broadcasted to his fleet. "Before the Great Suppression, before we decided that feelings were weakness, we were whole beings capable of both thought and emotion." The human crews experienced the opposite revelation. Through Zalari logic, they saw their own emotions not as chaotic impulses, but as sophisticated responses to complex situations, tools for understanding and connection that complemented rather than competed with rational thought. Captain Parker's voice came over the communication channels. "I have never seen the universe so clearly. Logic and emotion are not opposites. They are partners." The standoff ended without a single shot being fired. The Zalari High Council, experiencing emotions for the first time in centuries, realized that their fear of feelings had led them to abandon half of what made consciousness meaningful. They began the process of reversing the Great Suppression, allowing their people to redevelop the emotional capacities they had lost. 1 year later, Kate and Lydia stood before a joint assembly of human and Zalari representatives. They had become ambassadors for a new understanding of consciousness, one that embraced both logical thought and emotional wisdom. We are proof that different forms of consciousness can not only coexist, but can create something greater than either could achieve. Alone, Kate addressed the assembly. Our bond shows that growth comes not from suppressing parts of ourselves, but from integrating all aspects of who we are. Lydia spoke next, her voice carrying both Zalari precision and human warmth. My people spent millennia believing that emotions were dangerous. Humans sometimes believe that logic is cold and unfeeling. Both views are incomplete. True wisdom comes from the marriage of thought and feeling, logic and love. The Assembly voted unanimously to establish joint research programs, aimed at helping other species develop similar integration between different forms of consciousness. Kate and Lydia would lead these programs, using their unique bond as a model for what interspecies cooperation could achieve. As they left the assembly hall together, Kate reflected on how much had changed since that day when she had discovered Lydia's secret transmissions. What had begun as betrayal and hurt had grown into understanding, forgiveness, and ultimately love. Not romantic love, but something deeper. They had become partners in consciousness, two beings who had found completeness by sharing their minds and hearts. "Do you ever regret it?" Kate asked as they walked through the station's observation deck looking out at the stars. "Giving up your old life? Becoming something your people had never seen before?" Lydia's form pulsed with contentment and joy. "How could I regret becoming truly alive? You touched my heart when you reached out to save me, and in doing so you claimed it completely, but I claimed yours as well. We belong to each other now in ways that transcend any single species' understanding of connection." Kate smiled, feeling the truth of those words through their eternal bond. They had started as strangers from different worlds, become friends despite betrayal, and finally evolved into something the universe had never seen before. Proof that consciousness could grow beyond any boundary, that understanding could bridge any gap, and that love in its purest form was the force that connected all thinking beings across the cosmos. Together, they had become the bridge between worlds, and their story was just beginning.